Season 51, War number 8, and we're up against Legion. And this time my team will be Onslaught, Venom and Werewolf by night. I will be taking Path 6 in Section 1, Path 7 in Section 2, a Sassy, Shocker and Adam Warlock mini-boss, along with the Onslaught boss there, using Werewolf by night, as usual. Now most of these fights will be taken with Venom, so they are gonna be very quick ones. I love using this guy in war, and to start off with, we have a Lady D here on the combat Deja-vu prowess and spiked armor nodes. Now Lady D does have some bleed resistance, I believe 90%, but that's okay. Venom hits hard enough as is, even without the help of the bleeds. And well, with that said, the bleeds themselves are still doing a lot of work here, as you can see. And that's partly, or I guess mainly, due to the Venom relic increasing bleed potency, which straight up eats into the opponent's bleed resistance. And yeah, that's the result. The fight didn't last long at all. Then we have a Mr. Fantastic here on the critical setup node along with aggression prowess. This guy is a tactic defender and I am using Venom. Now, essentially, due to the tactic, I just gotta wait to get the clarity passive up, and as soon as I do that, the fight is over. He can no longer evade, and the bleeds, well, they are just gonna eat right into him, and he's gonna melt. My buff RNG wasn't the best, but simply having a single precision is all Venom really needs, and a few combos with the striker. Fight is done, once again, very quick, no risks there whatsoever, and on to the next one. Now, I gotta say, if you've seen this one before the Season 51 number 8 video, I know I'm very late on these, but that's not an excuse to not upload them. I just wanna have them up on the channel just to be there, I guess. So, here we are. Next we have a Spider Ham on the second wind unblockable node here along with the Make a Stand node, and I'm taking it with Venom. Once again, a tactic defender, so I gotta get the clarity passive up first, and once that's done, the fight is done as well. Spider Ham, being a Spider-Verse hero, cannot evade against Venom regardless, so that's not an issue at all, and because he can't evade, he can't inflict the power stings on me either, unless I hit him while he's stunned. Now with that said, even if I do get some power stings, it doesn't matter, because Venom doesn't need specials to do his fights, and once again the fight just, it's over before I can really even say much else. Venom, very quick as an attacker, provided he can actually make the defender bleed. Then we have a Korg on the second wind unblockable and power creep nodes, and I'm taking this fight with Onslaught. Now, Onslaught isn't ideal for this specific node, and that's because he doesn't have any way to deal with the opponent's increased combat power rate. And while it's not really an issue, since Onslaught is not a slow attacker, it does make the fight a bit more annoying. But with that said, it's still very simple, and Korg with some extra power rate in itself, it can actually help you provided the power gain isn't too high, so it allows you to bait those specials a lot easier, or I guess a lot more often, and use that for your openings. No need to parry or any of that, and due to Onslaught's non-contact first medium and light attack, you don't have to worry about the Rockthorn's damage when baiting his special 1, for example. I went straight to special 2 there, and the fight was pretty quickly over with. He did get some of the extra combat power rate, but as you saw, it's not an issue. A rank 3 Onslaught just hits very hard. And then we have a Sassy on the Ebb and Flow knockdown and right back at it miniboss node, and I am taking this fight with Onslaught as well. The main thing he has going for him here is that whenever the opponent is immune to one of his personal debuffs, or the parry, or the stun debuff from the parry mastery, Onslaught inflicts a passive version instead. And that means while the opponent is debuff immune from the right back at it node, you can still parry and inflict passive stuns, and with the special one you will be able to inflict passive organic magnetisms, and well, the Dauntlets as well will be passive. With all that said, all you really need to worry about is the parry stuns, allowing you to just basically parry heavy your way to your special 2, with a single special 1 for ramp up with the neuroshocks, and now at this point all I gotta do is just wait out the wrath, then go for a parry heavy for the knockdown, then do it again, and chain that into a special to convert the neuros into degens, and just watch this sassy melt. Now, it's been a minute, the fight is essentially over, just gonna dance around for a little bit more, use my heavies to pause the degens as well as to remove the event for protection once again, or at least that's what you would normally do, but the fight was over before the special one there finished knocking him down. Finished the fight with full health essentially, and that was a rank 3 sassy as well. I would say Onslaught is probably one of the best options for it, if not the best, though I guess some science champions might take the cake on that one. I don't really know, to be honest. Then we have a Shocker on the Scared Stiff and Power Focus 2 miniboss node along with Bubble Shield, and I will be taking the fight with Venom. Shocker of course is a tactic defender, so I will need to deal with that and get the Clarity Charge before I can safely hit into him. Otherwise he has a chance to parry, or rather auto block and parry my basic attacks as well as evade once that mode takes over, and that's a big issue. Previously in one of these seasons with these tactics I got absolutely destroyed by a Shocker. Still somehow survived, but tactic can be very scary if you don't get the clarity up early. Now, the block damage in this specific fight has been insanely high. I'm not exactly sure why. I'm guessing it's the Bubble Shield as well as the 7 stars having the block penetration, but my god did that hurt. I have the class advantage, I rolled some buffs for physical resistance as well, and still the damage is very noticeable. Regardless, the fight was very simple in the end, and a pretty quick fight as well, though with better buff RNG it could have been way faster. Then we have an Adam Warlock on the power efficiency and missing in action miniboss node, and I'm taking the fight with Werewolf by night. And honestly, looking back, I could have just used Venom for this fight and been done faster, but Werewolf does the fight just fine. Now, due to the passive power gain as well as the power efficiency node, I'm gonna be evading a lot of special ones here, and the game plan is to essentially play it slow, just howl for power gain, throw some mediums here and there to keep the ruptures up and ticking, and then while the curse is active, drop some special 2s, and that should be all there is to this fight. So long as Adam Warlock is nice enough to actually throw his specials, there shouldn't be anything for me to worry about. First special 2 down, he's melting down, he's at 10%, a few more mediums here for ruptures, and the fight should be done. Got up to another special 2 there at the end with Mystic Dispersion along with the howls, and a simple intercept with that, and that's that. Then, the final fight of this war, if anyone's still watching this, if anyone cares. I do have an Onslaught boss here to take with Werewolf by night. And, well, I'm sure anyone who's watching this still, you should be aware by now how this matchup goes, since I have done it so often. Essentially, the game plan is to only hit into the opponent's block here, at least for the most part, to inflict the ruptures, deal damage that way, and then howl for power gain, get to my special 2 using the howls, and then spam specials with the curse active, or I guess special 2s. I will, or at least should, hit into the opponent at least a few times directly before I start the curse, just to get the resistance buffs on the opponent, which then allows me to pause the curse simply by being away from the defender. It makes the fight faster and easier to take. One thing I also do here is block that single hit on the special 1, and the reason I do that is to get a single organic magnetism debuff on myself for some free willpower healing. You get a single neurotoxin, or not neurotoxin, neuroshock for doing so, but a single dashback and you will get rid of that. This is a trick that I usually use in BGs, for example, and it just allows you to heal up some of the cheap damage you take from the neuroshocks, potentially allowing you to finish your fights at a full yellow bar, even against Onslaught. It's not necessary, and honestly, I probably don't even need to do that here. It is cutting down my damage output a little bit due to inequity, but overall, it's just a nice little trick to know, and it has its uses. Now, there I ended up dropping the curse by getting comboed, but I did have an invulnerability boost active just in case, so the damage was minimal at best. Then, to add another mistake into the mix, I ended up accidentally parrying this guy, and you don't wanna do that, because parrying him inflicts the Daunted, which disables your willpower mastery and increases all damage you take during Onslaught specials. While that's not really a risk of death, I guess, it does make it so you are no longer able to heal with the special 1 trick, and any neuroshocks you get will be amplified during those special ones that you're gonna have to bait. Overall though, the fight is very simple, just don't parry like I did and you should be fine. As for the results, we did end up winning the war 4-0. We landed a full-on donut here for the Alliance, which was very nice to see.